Right, just answering a question, which is the value of blood flow restriction training. Actually, as it goes, we've had this a few times, and it's a very interesting point because I've studied quite a lot of research about it. There is maybe a couple of hundred research been done in the last maybe 5-6 years, something like this, and they vary. The answer does vary. Does it increase muscle mass? Does it increase strength? Does it produce better results than normal training? Well, I think the answer is it kind of really depends on the type of person you are and the condition you're in and the level of growth that you require, the level of hypertrophy that you need. So it doesn't create metabolic stress because, of course, you're allowed to lower the weight and therefore the body itself doesn't have to work as hard to pull the weight. But the amount of blood driven into that area obviously is increased, and therefore you can argue that the nutrients partition is going to increase, and therefore the protein synthesis will increase, and therefore your adaptation and the recovery for that should allow for better hypertrophy. Now, I'm not going to go into every single scientific fact about it, but I will give you my view, okay? And I'm pretty open-minded about these things, but we don't include it in our programs by default. But that does not mean I don't see a value in it. So, for example, for some small muscle groups or some stubborn areas, like for example biceps, calves, triceps, that sort of type of stuff. Yeah, well, you could try and use it and see whether it increases the level of growth that you get. But whether that level of growth then is consistent, in other words, is progressive over time, that remains to be seen. So no study actually proves that it is detrimental to the muscle or decreases its size. So from that perspective, there is absolutely no danger in trying. Now, what you will feel, obviously, you will feel a better response to the muscle. So it may actually help in order to guide you to be able to train or connect with that muscle, because you are pushing blood into it very, very well, or blood is being captured in that area. So therefore, it does allow the signal to be improved. Does that mean more strength? Does that mean more hypertrophy? I think short term, if you're a beginner, yes, because any new stimulation will create adaptation. But if you look at some of the advanced bodybuilders, they don't tend to use it very, very much. They still go for mechanical and metabolic stress on certain exercises in order to increase the size of that muscle. Because at the end of the day, it's easier also to monitor the progression loading over a period of time with them. So just to make it, I guess, a little bit more simple for people, is there a benefit? Yes. Where would I prescribe this type of training? Actually, I would use it on maybe slightly older individual that are struggling to connect to muscle, where they've got some muscle kind of a deterioration, and they are struggling to connect with specific body parts, and the energy levels are down, and therefore they can afford to create a very good protein synthesis signal with a lot less weight. So I would use it on them programs 100%. I would also use it perhaps as I could use it at the end of some workouts in order to increase the signaling for the protein synthesis to try and create better blood flow again, recovery for that muscle at the end of a big workout, or every so often to break a plateau. So in other words, to desensitize from a heavy weight. So, and also to prevent injuries, because at some point, once you finish the program, for example, and you've gone to very heavy barbell curls, perhaps, for a couple of weeks, there's absolutely no harm in changing the stimulus. And the stimulus would be that, you could argue that holding a weight in tension and doing isotension creates the same. So it's another way to generate blood into that area. So, to answer the question from a hypertrophy point of view, it's scientifically not proven that it will generate new muscle, but to anyone who's a beginner, yes, it will, because any form of new adaptation for the muscle will generate new hypertrophy. But for someone who's very experienced and is used to quite a lot of heavy load or many work sets, perhaps, yes, it will help increase the level of pump that they feel, and it can help to break a plateau. It can keep things interesting. There's definitely no detrimental side to it, but I wouldn't rely purely on for your muscle building phases. I do believe that if you want to grow muscle and you want to grow your body overall, you are still better off looking at a conventional way to load the muscle over time, and that's using good weight, good form, full range of motion, because at the end of the day, that's what the body is designed to do. So I am open to more questions, and obviously this point can be debated, but it is an interesting one, and it is used quite often. And I do think in a cycle of your, mesocycle of your training or through periodization, it has a value, 100%. Will it increase the muscle size? Once again, depends on the level that you're at. So don't disregard it, but certainly don't make it the only type of exercise that you go for. Thank you.